A very good morning to all of you, and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. Today is 29th of June. So guys, in this video, we'll discuss the entire newspaper and we'll take all the articles, their relevant analysis, and you can also download the explainer notes of this session, the synoptic notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in the description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which are the important articles in the today's newspaper. Now, the first article that we see here is a surge in food prices show inflation far from tamed. So basically guys, from nearly 2 years now, the inflation has been a persistent problem. The inflation was easing, but again we see this particular thing that largely in the food category, the inflation has increased, is increasing again. One more thing guys is that understand one particular policy issue. Basically, when the COVID started, during that time, Government of India announced the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan fiscal package worth 20 lakh crore rupees, and lot of money was injected in the system. For a considerable period of time, the repo rate was also very much less. Because of that, a lot of money got entered into the system, money supply got increased, and it is leading to inflation. Right now, government or the monetary policy committee recently in successive stages in the past, they have increased the repo rate, but we cannot aggressively pursue the inflation control as well, because then it will impact the growth. Okay, because for growth, credit availability, cheap credit is actually very much important. Now, these are some of the ideas that you need to understand. I will not suggest you that you go and you track month by month inflation data, that okay, in this month inflation was that okay, you that all such datas are not that much important. Okay, then moving on after that, we move to the city section. In city section, the regional issues, law and order, crime related issues, these advertisements, all such kind of things have been given. Opposition giving communal twist to uniform civil code. So yesterday also we have discussed the uniform civil code. Fine, there were many editorials also that have come on the uniform civil code, which simply means that there needs to be one uniform law which will govern the personal matters of all the religious communities. Okay, Article 44 of DPSP provides for the UCC. We have discussed that thing also in lot more detail, but these are the political statements. Please don't go here. Then further moving on guys, largely we have here the regional issues, etc. So on editorial page directly will reach, and in the editorial, I think there is some issue that came. Okay, now we come to the editorial page, and in the editorial, the first article, manifestly arbitrary, clearly unconstitutional. This article is talking about the ordinance that have been passed in the case of Delhi. We take this article. Then guys, recently the deadline for the EPFO, okay, the for the pension, the deadline has been extended. Now understand this thing that you are not required to go too much and see the deadline has been extended, the EPFO, the pension calculations and all such kind of things here. So too much details are not needed. Then further moving on, Mahela Nobis in the era of big data, will take this article. World Cup is an opportunity for ODIs. Then here we have ranking and the realities of higher education, we'll take this article also. Okay. Then how much employment generation does the economy need? Okay, so basically guys, here we see that basically the data has been taken, that historical birth rate, death rate, labor force participation rate. So basically birth rate in 2022, 2007, 2005, 2022, the total population it is being estimated. Okay, so youth population, how much it has increased. On that particular basis, they are giving that okay, these many employments etc would be needed. Then coming to the text and context page, so here we have article changing economy of the rural West Bengal. Now understand this particular thing that see, right now there are the issues going on that what will be the political scenario that will unfold in the West Bengal. On one hand, it is being said that there will be the return of the left Congress alliance. Some says that there will be the return of the Trinamool Congress. So here what they are doing, they are comparing, they have given the data with respect to the rural economy of the West Bengal. Now understand this thing that for your UPSC CSE examination, you are not required to go too much in detail in this particular article. Why? Because rural economy of just one particular state, the incomes there, the proportion of people involved into the different activities have been given. So such microscopic things are not required. Okay, so if it would have been on the overall rural economy of India, the article would have been important. Okay, however, if you are only preparing for the West Bengal PCS exam, then you can go. Otherwise, no need to go too much in detail in this article. Then we have this bibliography article. Savarkar did not consider Hindutva as the equivalent of the Hinduism. Okay. Okay, so basically recently there was this Savarkar's Essentials of Hindutva that got published. Okay, now understand this thing, guys, that this Hindutva, Hinduism, Savarkar, his role in Hindutva ideology, etc., it has already become a lot of big political issue. Okay, and on such kind of a political controversies, UPSC usually doesn't ask this questions. Okay, however, if you want to read it as a leisurely read, you can do that. Then further moving on, after that, we have these regional law and order related issues that are largely there. Okay, PM's visit to US was the most productive ever. Jaishankar, India US can join hand to boost security stability. Okay, so basically the US ambassador Eric Garcetti had said this thing, that both the countries can join hand to boost security stability, and here the Minister of External Affairs said that the visit of the Prime Minister to the US was meaningful. Now, if you remember, yesterday we have seen 3 full-page articles on the India-US relation. One article was talking about the defense cooperation that has come. Okay, now US will provide the jet engines to the India. Drones, unmanned aerial vehicles will be provided. One was another article which talked about that how the 5 presidents of US and 3 prime ministers of India had helped in enhancing the relations and American exceptionalism for India. Now guys, understand this thing. If you have not seen the yesterday's newspaper, I will highly insist you that you go and please see those 3 articles. You will get the entire idea of the India-US relation, and then I don't expect that you should read anything beyond that particular thing with India-US when it is concerned. All the dimensions have been covered there. Okay, so these are the statements that are just being given. Okay, you are not really required to follow the statements of the leaders that have been given. Policy issues, if they come, they are important. Okay, now here we have one policy issue that has come. Center plans market scheme to promote sustainable living. We'll take this article. Here there is also one more issue. Cabinet clears NRF bill. We'll take this article also for the exam. Then further moving on the world page, days after Black Saturday, Russians take stock. Okay, guys, understand this thing that as this Russia-Ukraine issue is going on, there are the many developments in that particular case, etc. that comes. Okay, no need to go too much in detail in that. Indian economy resilient despite global risks, Reserve Bank of India. So there are global risks that are there. Number one is that already this Russia-Ukraine war that is going on happens to be a risk. Then the global slowdown is there, inflation is a big concern. Okay, and then we have the sports page, guys, and in the science page also today there is this article that has come, what cricket can teach us about the mind's experience of time. I have read this entire article. Doesn't contains much of the substance for the exam point of view, so please don't go in that. Some days there are really good articles in the science page that are directly important for our exam, fine, pertains to the issues, but sometimes there are the abstract articles, so no need to go and track it every day. Okay, so understand this thing. Okay, so everyone says this thing that you should complete your newspaper in 1 hour or less. How that is possible? Only when you know what type of articles are important. Now today we'll take the quotation from Joseph Stiglitz. Joseph Stiglitz, okay, who happens to be a very popular economist, and Joseph Stiglitz, he says, GDP is not a good measure of economic performance. It's not a good measure of well-being. Now, we calculate any country's development well-being on the basis of their GDP data, but GDP has a lot of its limitations. For example, whenever you see the GDP data, you cannot tell about the state of inequalities that are existing in a nation. GDP stands for, now GDP, gross domestic product, stands for the value of the goods and services being produced in a nation in a particular period of time. We cannot tell what is about inequality. We cannot tell that whether the basic needs of the people are getting fulfilled or not. Well, while the GDP is going up, whether it is how negatively it is impacting the environment, whether the growth is sustainable, whether the growth is green. We cannot tell any of such kind of a thing only by seeing the GDP. So GDP is not a perfect indicator. GDP is not a good indicator of economic performance. It is not a good measure of well-being. Okay, so this is all about it. I hope that you have understood it. Okay, and now let's take the first article for today. Okay, so the first article that we'll take, Center plans market scheme to promote sustainable living. Now this particular article will use with respect to GS paper number 3, environment, sustainable development. Okay, so let's first of all understand some of the basic background information, and then we'll go in this particular article. So basically guys, understand this particular thing, that India intends to be carbon neutral nation by 2070, and in order to be carbon neutral we need to absorb a lot of carbon emissions that are happening, and at the same time, in order to go for the sustainable development, we need to judiciously use the resources. Some of the resources are to be restored back also. For example, land restoration is to be done, water is to be saved. Then only the sustainable development will come. Now, government only cannot solve this particular, all these two challenges, sustainable development and to be carbon neutral. Government only cannot take the effort. We need to introduce, or we need to bring the private sector, the individuals, NGOs, civil societies also fine, so that they come and help. Now understand this particular thing guys, that what has happened now, the environment ministry is coming out with the green credit scheme. It is coming out with the green credit scheme. Now first of all, a complete plan of this green credit scheme is not out, but what they are providing that, see, individuals, organizations, private sector, corporate, there are 8 type of activities that have been specified. Okay, if you perform these 8 type of activities, you will get some credit. Okay, for example, when you play some video game, you collect some coin. Okay, those coins, okay, or let's take this example, that whenever you go for shopping, you collect some points. Those points then later can be redeemed for money or for cash. So first of all, there are the 8 type of activities that have been specified. What are these 8 type of activities? Okay, 8 sectors are there. You need to have just an overview. Okay, no need to remember each one in detail. For example, there is the tree plantation. There is the tree plantation based green credit. Okay, you can help in increasing the green cover. Okay, tree plantation can be done, or other related activities which will help in increasing the green cover, they could be done. Then water based green credit is there. What you can do, you can help in the water conservation, you can help in water harvesting, you can help in increasing the efficiency of the water use, saving the water. Okay, treatment of the water, reuse of the wastewater. Then there is the sustainable agriculture. For example, the natural agriculture, regenerative agricultural practices could be promoted. Land restoration, we see that a lot of land, it has got salinized. Okay, a lot of land has got salinized. Okay, a lot of land, it has a lot of toxicity in the land has been increased. So the restoration of the land could be done. Then there could be efforts for increasing the soil health, improving the nutritional value. For waste management, there can be some credits that can be generated. So largely these are the activities. If any individual, any corporate, any organization does these activities, they will earn some credit. Now this is the one part. Then secondly, environment ministry, secondly, the government is saying this particular thing, that later what they will do, they will create the demand of these particular credits by bringing certain laws and rules. For example, the industries, a law will be brought that every industry has to spend 100 green credits every year. 100 green credits every year. Now how the industry will spend the 100 green credits? They have to first of all buy the 100 green credits. And how they will buy? They will buy from the individuals who have earned the green credit by doing those 8 activities that I told you. So first people will do some activities, they earn the green credit, then the companies will buy because there will be the legal obligation on them, and buy this particular thing. In totality, the environmental conservation will come. In totality, what will happen? The land degradation, water challenge, all these particular things would be solved. Is it clear? So this is something. Now guys, there is already one more mechanism that is there. There is already one more mechanism that is there. That is the uh, that is the carbon markets are there. Now in the carbon market, only the carbon emission credits are traded. Okay, only the carbon emission credits are traded, but it is more wider than that. Why? Because here the land restoration, water restoration, reuse, all these particular things are also being taken up. So this is a very good example, which, or a very good scheme, an ambitious scheme that government is coming out with. You can use it in the exam as an example. Okay, so a very good scheme. Now moving on, in the next article, cabinet clears NRF bill to offer strategic direction to research. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 3, research and development. Research and development. Even in GS paper number 2, issues related to education. Within the issues related to education, research and development is an important theme which is important for exam. We'll see there also. Now, before going on in this particular article, I would like to tell you some of the basic information. See, when we talk about India, our gross expenditure on research and development is just 0.7% as per Niti Aayog. And Niti Aayog provides this particular thing, that if India wants to achieve the goal of $5 trillion economy in the near future, we need to spend at least 2 to 3% of our GDP on the research and development. Right now it is just 0.7%. Within the BRICS nation, within the G20 nation, India's expenditure on the research and development happens to be the lowest compared to its size. Now, in order to increase the focus on research and development, recently the cabinet has cleared one particular bill which will establish a dedicated body, and this body will try to pool more and more investment towards the research and development. And this body will be National Research Foundation, and the bill is the National Research Foundation bill. So basically, what is the goal? The goal is that National Research Foundation will be a top level, it will be an apex level body which will give the strategic inputs, which will give the policy ideas, that how the research and development can be increased, okay, how the research and development can be brought by the private sector. Now let me tell you one particular thing, guys. See, there are many concerns in the context of India that we have. Listen, the first concern is there that majority of the research and development expenditure that is done, it is done by the government. Private expenditure on research and development happens to be very low. But if you go to US, in US, private expenditure on research and development is way high. But in India, only government is focusing there. So we need to mobilize the private sector. Second concern that comes here, guys, understand this thing, that when we talk about the R&D in the higher educational institution, there are the institutions such as the IISc, okay, there are the institutions such as the IITs which are spending a lot on research and development, but state universities, other universities that are not that much reputed, there is no attention on the research and development there. So basically, NRF will solve this problem, that how private sector can be involved in R&D, how even the state universities, other colleges where right now the R&D is not going on, how there we can increase the R&D. All these strategic inputs will be given by the NRF. One more thing, basically in 2020, 3 years back, we came with the National Education Policy, and National Education Policy also has specifically provided this particular thing, that we need to focus a lot more on the research and development. And between 23 to 28, there is are approximately 50,000 crore rupees that would be invested on R&D. Again, who will give the strategic input that where you should spend money, what are the most beneficial kind of investments with respect to the R&D, all these inputs will be given by the NRF. Now, Department of Science and Technology will be the administrative department of the NRF. All the staff, all the administration related work will be done by the DST, and then there will be the governing board. There will be the governing board which will further actually be steering the NRF, and in this governing board there will be the Prime Minister, who will be the ex officio president. Then there will be the Union Minister of Science and Technology. There will be the Minister of Education, who will be the ex officio vice presidents, and there will be the other researchers, professionals who will be the part of this particular board. Okay, this is all about it. Moreover, one more issue you need to understand, guys, is that, see, one more thing, that there is also already there is the Science and Engineering Research Board, fine, which was established in 2008. This board will now subsume under the NRF. This board will now subsumed under the NRF. Okay, National Research Foundation. Okay, so all these particular things are there. So I told you that right now majority or the bulk of research is done in the IITs and IIScs, and they are also the one who are getting the research funding. Okay, the government also give them the most of the funding. State universities, they don't get that. Okay, moreover, one more thing is there, guys, that it is expected that the NRF will be able to mobilize 36,000 crore rupees from the private sector in the research. Okay, moreover, government will contribute specifically this much funding over 5 years. Okay, one more thing is that, guys, that DST, Department of Science and Technology, it also is functioning, and it gets the funding particularly for giving the scholarship to the scholars. That funding will also continue. So a lot of attention is now being given on the research and development, and these policy actions that are being taken by the India, you should write them in your exam. These are certain things which will enhance the scope for you to get more marks in the exam. Okay, thank you everyone for your kind wishes. Thank you so much. Okay, then next, sir, what is Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog stands for National Institution for Transforming India. It is a policy think tank of India. Okay, ranking and the realities of higher education. Ranking and the realities of the higher education. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the education. Within education, issues related to the higher education will take all these particular articles. Now understand, first of all, let me give you some of the basic background, and then we'll go in this particular article. So few years back, the Ministry of Education, earlier it was the Ministry of HRD, now it is Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education came out with an idea to rank the higher educational institution on some objective ranking, so that it instills a spirit of competition in the institutions, and in that spirit of competition they'll perform good, even so that the students can make the meaningful decisions while they are opting for a higher educational institution. There needs to be ranking system. Now what has happened, we have come out with our own ranking system, and this ranking system is National Institutional Ranking Framework. Recently the 2023 NIRF edition was released. Now when we talk about the NIRF, and this was the 8th edition of NIRF, and basically the institutions are categorized, institutions are ranked into the different category. For example, there is overall category where all the institutions will be ranked. Then there is a separate ranking for universities. Then there is a separate ranking for colleges only. Then for research institutions there is a separate ranking. Okay, then there are subject domain rankings also that are there. For example, engineering colleges, management colleges, pharmacy colleges, medical colleges, dental, law, architecture. In this way, total there are around 11 categories that are there. Okay, so different category wise the institutions are ranked, and there are 5 parameters on which the rankings are done. Every parameter has been given some weightage. For example, teaching, learning and resources, graduation outcome, research and professional practice, outreach, inclusivity, perception. These are the 5 parameters on which the educational institutions are ranked. So this is all about the things which you should know about it. And now further moving on. So basically the article is saying that there are a lot of concerns in the NIRF. The higher educational institutions in India are facing a lot of issues. Let's see what these issues are, and these issues will become the criticisms or the challenges of the higher education setup in India. Now, first of all, when we talk about the number of colleges that have participated or number of higher educational institutions that have participated in this ranking, their number is around 5543. These institutions offered for the ranking. But when we talk about the total number of higher educational institutions in India, then according to All India Survey on Higher Education, we have 1113 universities, 43796 colleges. Okay, so approximately 45,000 higher educational institutions we have, and out of 45,000, nearly 5.5 thousand have participated. So it means that only 12.3% of the higher educational institutions are participating in any ranking. Now the point that comes here is that more than 87% of the institutions, they are not offering for the ranking, and there is no separate ranking for them also. What about them? Okay, what about them? So the data is, this ranking is just catering to just 12% of the universities. Majority of them are not represented here. Okay, so this is the issue that comes. Then the next issue that comes, guys, here is that, first of all, understand this thing, that a large number of higher educational institutions are into the rural areas. For example, 43% of the universities and 61.4% of the colleges are in the rural India. And the majority of the institutions that have participated in NIRF, they are from urban area. So rural India institutions are not properly represented in NIRF because they are not participating. Understand, the participation in NIRF, participation is in NIRF is voluntary. Okay, so this actually becomes a concern. Then the next issue that comes here is, guys, that there is a lot of disparity with respect to the quality, quantity. Regional disparities are there. How? Recently, out of the 100 institutions, top 100 institutions in NIRF, 35 are in Tamil Nadu, 32 are from Delhi, and 14 are from Kerala. Means 81% of the 81% of the colleges, high quality colleges, they are in just 3 states. They are just in 3 states. Uttar Pradesh has the highest number of the higher educational institutions, but they don't have any good performing institution as per the NIRF ranking. Okay, so this is a disparity. Okay, that thus just 3 states having 81% of the institutions in the top 100 ranking. Uttar Pradesh don't even have one. Then the next issue that comes here is that, guys, basically there is also the concern with respect to the quality of education between private and government institution. For example, in top 100 overall ranking, the top rank by a private institution was 15. Okay, and in university ranking, the top rank by a private institution was rank 6. So point is that government institutions are performing far better. Okay, government institution was are performing far better. Okay, then the next issue that comes here is, guys, is the shortage of the faculties. For example, when we talk about the average number of faculties in the top 100 institutions, they are around 645. But when we go after 100 ranking, the universities, they have just 242 faculties. So top 100 universities have 3 times more the faculties. So point is that the other universities, they don't have that many faculties, and we know this thing, that for improving the quality of education, just good infrastructure will not help. Teachers need to be there. Okay, then the next concern that comes here is that, guys, see, you know this thing, that only 12%, 12 point some percent institutions are participating in NIRF. Now see this particular thing. When we talk about the scientific publications, research papers, okay, okay, all these particular things, now understand this thing, just 12.3% of the institutions, okay, which actually participated, total out of total institutions, just 12.3% participated in NIRF, and they are responsible for 87% of scholarly output. These institutions are publishing 87% of the research papers. means just 12% institutions publishing 90% of the scholarly papers. Means other institutions, they are not publishing the scholarly papers. So quality of education is so poor in other institutions. Moreover, when we talk about the engineering, 99.98%, 99.98%, matlab approximately 100% of the research papers in the engineering institutions are only filed by the ones which have participated in NIRF. Okay, so the point is that the other institutions which are not represented in NIRF, what about them? Okay, so these are all about these particular things. When we talk about India, guys, understand this thing. Even in the world, the India's share of the research paper is very much less. Out of the total research papers that are being published in the entire world, just 4%, 4.8% are from India. Now, the China, it was publishing around 5% of papers in 2000, and now it is publishing around 26% in 2018. How? Because China has deliberately invested in that. Okay, so this is all about it. Okay, now, so this is all about this particular article, and now moving to the next article. Manifestly arbitrary, clearly unconstitutional. Now we'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues of federalism, GS paper number 2. Now first of all, guys, let me tell you some background information, and if you are reading the newspaper or if you are following our video regularly, you already know this entire issue. So basically what happened, there was a dispute going on between the center government and the Delhi government. Dispute was that who will control the civil servants, bureaucrats in Delhi. Now the matter reached to Supreme Court, and just a month back, Supreme Court ruled that the Supreme Court ruled very clearly that the elected government of Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party elected government of Delhi will control the bureaucrats, civil servants in Delhi. Their transfer, their posting will be controlled by the elected government. LG, central government will not have the power. Then what happened? In order to overturn that court's decision, the government of India, by the president, they came with an ordinance by using the article number 123 of the Indian Constitution. They came out with an ordinance, and with this particular ordinance, what they say, they came out with an ordinance and they established a three-member body. And this three-member body will comprise the Chief Minister of Delhi and two senior bureaucrats. Okay, and they will be taking the matter that how they will be deciding the service-related matter of the bureaucrats. The point is that the decisions will be taken by the majority. So it means that the two senior bureaucrats, they can outrule the Chief Minister. One more provision is there in this ordinance that at the end of the day, if LG wants, Lieutenant Governor wants, they can overrule entire decision of this particular body as well. Whatever LG wants, that will happen, and that should happen. This is something that came. Now, further moving in this particular direction, the center government has given justification that why they have come out with this particular ordinance. Central government says this thing that we have to balance the interest between the Delhi government and the interest between the government at the center. So central government, national priorities, Delhi government, the Delhi's priorities, the interest is to be balanced, and for that thing they have come out with this particular ordinance. Moreover, the central government also said that Article 239 AA of the Constitution, which have given the special status to Delhi, it specifically provides that the parliament has a power to pass laws with respect to the fields that are normally within the exclusive competence of the states. So the things which are actually in the control of the state, even on those laws, in the case of Delhi, the central government can pass a law. This power has been given by the Article 239 AA. So they say that by using it, we have come out with an ordinance. Okay. Now the author is saying that this ordinance is violative at many fronts. Now how it is violative? Let's see them one by one. So it is violative at many fronts. For example, it says that it undermines the democracy. Civil servants are actually responsible for implementing the health, education, okay, all these things, health, education, sanitation, they are actually delivered by the civil servants, and they should be held accountable to the government, to the immediate government, and actually they could have been held better accountable to Delhi government rather than the central government or LG. Okay, so they could have hold their accountability in more proper way. This is one thing. Then the next thing that comes here is that, guys, that this recent judgment of Supreme Court, which actually provided that the services should be controlled by the Delhi government, it came out with the concept of a triple chain of accountability. Triple chain of accountability. The Supreme Court said that the civil servants, what is this triple chain of accountability? See, civil servants are accountable to the cabinet. Cabinet. Fine. Cabinet is accountable to the legislature. Legislature is accountable to the public. Legislature is accountable to the public. Okay. People will judge the legislature, their MLAs. If they have not performed, they will judge them. So there is a triple chain of accountability that is there. Okay, and it cannot be broken. Now, if the civil servants are they are not under the control of the Delhi government, okay, this is one link, this is second link, this is third link. If the civil servants are not into the control of the Delhi government, obviously this particular chain will be broken. This particular chain will be broken. And Supreme Court said that this particular chain can never be broken. This particular chain can never be broken. Supreme Court said this particular thing. So this is a problem that comes. The next thing that comes here is that the article says that Delhi had a special status. Okay, under Article 39AA, there are certain things on which Delhi cannot rule, cannot legislate. Three subjects are there: law and order, land, and police. On these three things, the Delhi government cannot legislate. Article 239AA provides. Fine, but it has also been provided. But it has also been provided that in other matters they can make the rules. Okay. And when we talk about the civil services, they will be the ones who will lead every department. Okay. And by bringing the civil servants under the influence of the central government, what central government had said, central government actually had become the more powerful. Even the subjects on which the government can make the laws, in which the Delhi government was kind of supreme, there also the power has been taken back. One criticism. And then largely the criticism comes here is that, guys, the ordinance, whenever we talk about it, it should always come in those circumstances when the situation was urgent, immediate something was to be solved. Then only the ordinances should come. Here, what was the emergency? Fine. So these are some of the criticisms that have been given here. Okay. Now, guys, see, if a question on the federalism comes, these examples you can give, but understand that your tone, the tone of your answers should be such that it should not evoke some kind of a political controversy. Okay. Then we have this article, Mahela Nobis in the era of big data and AI. Actually, guys, the article contains a very less substance which is relevant for exam. So today, 29th June, we observe the National Statistics Day. National Statistics Day. Why we observe the National Statistics Day? To honor the contributions made by the Professor P.C. Mahela Nobis. Okay. When we talk about the P.C. Mahela Nobis, 29th June is his birth anniversary, and he has played a very important role in statistics, in the field of the statistics. Okay. Now, the article is saying this particular thing, that today, okay, we see this particular thing, that there is a lot of shift that is coming in the way how the data is collected, how the way data is analyzed, how the statistics are run on the data. Today we see that first of all, there is this big data that is coming. What is big data? Big data is enormous data that is getting generated every minute. Now you see, you just go on the internet, you browse something, you generated some data. You go on Amazon, you looked for an item, you generated some data. So big data is huge data that is being generated by every second by the people. This data is characterized by velocity. This data is characterized by velocity. This data is characterized by volume. Okay, and then this data is characterized by the variety. Okay, variety, velocity, and volume are the three features of the big data. So there is a flood of data that has come, but most of the times this data is junk. Then the next, we have this artificial intelligence which could be trained on this data, and by using artificial intelligence over the data, we can find trends, we can find patterns. So the article is saying that if today Mahela Nobis would have been there, he would have embraced the power of AI in enhancing the human productivity. He could have analyzed the big data and have used AI in such a way that he would have been able to make more sense of that data because of his such great knowledge on the statistics. Okay, so this is all about this particular article, guys. Beyond that, much is not given here. Okay, Fine. Then we have this article, NATO warns against online promotion of organ trade. So NATO stands for National Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization. So guys, we see this thing that it happens to be a highly unethical, illegal thing that many of the private organizations, they're promoting and they're offering the organs for trade. Okay, organs, body organs they are offering, which is illegal. Okay, so just one thing is that guys, I just wanted to tell you the body that regulates the organ donation in India, that is the NATO, National Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization. And a good thing that you can do in your life is that uh, please give the consent and please donate your body organs if possible. Fine, because post your death, your body organs can give life, a new life to some another person. Okay, now then the next, moving to the main practice question for today. So question for today reads that NIRF ranking 23 underscores the need for massive quality enhancement in the higher education system. Discuss along with measures taken by the government. So this will be the GS paper number 2 10 marker question. So that is all guys about it, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper. That is all for today. I hope you have understood and I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much, and once again thanks for all of your lovely wishes. Thank you so much.